Have you ever decided to wing it in an interview and then wondered why it didn't go as well as planned? At Moxie, we have a hard and fast rule that winging it never works, especially when it's something as stressful as an interview, Q&A session, or even a media appearance. Stay tuned. We are going to talk about everything you need to know, soup to nuts, to prepare for your next interview. Hi everyone, I'm Fia Fastbinder and welcome to Moxie Talk, where we help you find your voice, share your message, and lead with confidence. Today we are talking about everything you need to know to prepare for your next interview and media appearance. Now, a media appearance is actually a golden opportunity to share your story, get your message out into the world, even build your business, your brand, or thought leadership. They are such an amazing loudspeaker to broadcast to an attentive audience that you wouldn't have the chance to speak in front of without this appearance. Today, we are talking about everything leading up to the media appearance. And on our next video, we'll talk about the media appearance itself. So let's get started with how to prepare for your media appearance. Now, all public speaking requires preparation. And as a side note, if you're preparing for something other than a media appearance or you're preparing for something other than an interview, watch our other videos on practice and preparation. We have a ton of them. But for media appearance, you have to prepare in a slightly different way. There's a different practice strategy that we're going to talk about today. So at its core, most media appearances are typically just an interview, and also an interview that will be edited to just glean sound bites. Most of the time, they will not play the entire interview, which means likely the interview will be edited and just a select portion of your interview will air. So there's nothing wrong with deciding ahead of time which sound bites you think will make the cut in the editing room and which sound bites are going to be punchy enough that they can be used on air. There's also nothing wrong with asking the interviewer for a list of questions before you start the interview. Sometimes they have them and they're happy to give them to you. And sometimes they don't have them or they won't give them to you ahead of time. Not to worry. If they don't or won't provide the questions, this doesn't mean you can't prepare and you have to wing it. So most people think that you can't rehearse for an interview, but Moxie thinks you can rehearse almost anything and you can definitely rehearse for an interview. So with a little bit of audience analysis and thought into what the interviewer might ask you, you can probably come up with a pretty good list of questions that are pretty solid, and then practice your answers. You can even role play this interview with someone you trust to work on crystallizing your message and making sure your answers are clear, concise, and impactful. Now, while you might not get the questions completely right, they might be a little bit different than what you guessed, you should be able to get pretty close, and you should be able to create answers that you can give with confidence. You can even try to think about the zinger questions or the questions you hope they won't ask. Having answers to those zinger questions that can politely deflect the difficult and controversial question you've been asked will put you at ease and ahead of time so you know if you're asked those questions that you can answer with confidence. Speaking of rehearsal, there is really no such thing as over-preparation for a media appearance. You'll usually know about this appearance weeks ahead of time, so calendar out time to prepare if you have to. It's important to have a clear understanding of your message, of your story, of the focus of the interview, and all of these things take preparation. This will definitely guide you in coming up with a list of questions if you do this kind of preparation and analysis. So there's some key concepts to consider while you prepare. First of all, consider where your piece will air. Knowing the audience will give you a clear idea of how to frame your message. For example, is it going on social media where you'll need to be snappier, shorter, and attention-grabbing and have really great sound bites? Or is it going to be a featured blog post? You might want to share some useful tips to your audience so they walk away with some great information. If you're only doing an audio recording like a radio or a podcast interview, make sure you work on your vocal executive presence so your voice amplifies, not undermines your message. And if you want more tips on vocal executive presence, check out some of my previous interviews on the topic. But no matter what you do, make sure to repeat your main points. You can do this in a different way, so you're not literally repeating the same talking points. But more than likely, people are going to tune in late to your interview or drop off early, especially if your segment's on the morning news where busy listeners are scurrying around preparing for their day. It's so important to know your audience so you can adjust your talking points to language that will resonate with this particular group of people. Okay, so now you've done your audience analysis, and it's crucial to spend a little bit of time on your interviewer. First of all, baseline, confirm the pronunciation of their name and the outlet they work for. You might even be able to watch or listen to a few of their past interviews to get a sense of their interviewing style. More often than not, the interview is probably not extremely familiar with your topic. So be prepared to expand on any part of your message in case you're asked or not asked and you want to make sure you get it out there. There's an old adage that we use a lot at Moxie, which is in marketing, your message should be understood by your grandma or the 10-year-old next door. Now, this doesn't mean you have to dumb down your talking points. Just be able to expand to an audience or interviewer that isn't familiar with your topic. A few other crucial technical concepts that you need to prepare for. First, will your interview be live or pre-recorded? If it's live, keep in mind that you won't be edited. So if nothing else, if you stumble over your words or you can't deliver your message in a clear, concise manner, just keep going. If you mess up, try your best to stay present so the mistake doesn't ruin the entire remainder of the interview. We used to say in theater, if something drops unexpectedly like a prop or a set piece, pick it up and keep going. Improv and then pick it up because otherwise the audience stares at this thing on the ground for the rest of the play. So this is a great analogy for your interview. If you drop it at some point, pick it up and keep going. Now, if the piece is pre-recorded, there's nothing wrong with asking the interviewer if you can redo a portion of the interview that you're not happy with. They might say no, but if they say yes, you can do a retake and then you'll have a better take. So ask yourself also another important question, will there be other speakers in the interview? If not, then it's up to you to share the entire message. If there are going to be other speakers, you'll have to decide how to interact and what part of the message you want to share. Last but not least, if you are speaking with someone else on the interview, if they are providing a conflicting opinion on the topic, it's really important to think about how you can present your point of view without being defensive or angry. Last, but definitely not least, and I've seen this happen so many times while preparing for interviews, find out how much time you have for the interview. This will help you determine how to force rank what you'll need to talk about. If you don't find out how much time, you might wait till the very end to give your main message, and by then it's too late. So if you only have a few minutes, you'll really need to boil down the information that you want to share to a singular message or one big idea, as we say when I prepare TED speakers. If you have more time, you can expand on that main idea or those key points. So let's recap what we talked about as far as how to strategize and prepare for a media appearance or high stakes interview. Step 1, do your audience analysis. Make sure you understand Who will be watching or listening to this interview? Step 2, get to know the interviewers, a sense of their style, watch some other videos they've made or interviews they've done if you can. Ask for a list of questions. They may or may not give it to you. These are really important steps. Step 3, find out if you are going to be doing a panel discussion, if you're speaking with other people, or if it's up to you to lead the whole interview. This will definitely guide you in making your talking points. Speaking of guiding your talking points, find out where your interview will be aired and who will be watching it and how much time you have. These are crucial as you start to put together your message, your story, and your key points. So I hope all of this information on how to prepare for your next important interview or media appearance was helpful. Stay tuned for our next video where I'll talk about how to actually deliver this interview or this media appearance so that you know exactly what you need to do when you hear the words rolling. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to share it with a friend or like it on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. We have a ton of videos that I mentioned throughout this video that will help you with everything soup to nuts. From the minute you find out you have a speaking opportunity to the minute you walk out of that stage, boardroom, or studio. Stay tuned. So glad to have you and see you soon.